So this is about a VTuber who is being exposed for being a manipulator. Remember Baffa? TLDR, Baffa was exposed for being a piece of he wouldn't take no for an answer, treaded all over everybody's boundaries, and made a ton of people uncomfortable. This guy was associated with Baffa. If I remember correctly, he was one of the people Baffa sent to the person that made the doc about Baffa to tell them to not make the doc. So this is a tweet tweeted out by Awawa Aishi VT. I'm tired of feeling scared. I'm sick of being silenced. I originally did not want to go public with this, but seeing as there's been so many other victims of Surge VT's manipulative behavior and lies, I wanted to give my voice from what I went through. So this is a 40-page document. I was not joking. Trigger warning, manipulation, and gaslighting. I apologize if you can hear me cat. I originally wasn't sure if I wanted to continue to keep all of this to myself or stay anonymous, but I'm tired of feeling silent. I'm tired of hiding away and avoiding him, and I'm tired of living in fear of Surge's manipulative behavior for far too long. I simply just want to share my story and experience I had with him and have my voice heard alongside of some of my friends. I will be blurring names to keep certain parties who don't need to be involved and for their safety privacy, and IRL names also for privacy. I want to keep these screenshots as uncropped as much as possible to keep anything from being misinterpreted or misconstrued. I am Surge's ex, and I was manipulated and cheated on by Surge, as well as he manipulated my friends and he twisted the story to others of how I treated him. I created this document with the help of some friends, Aborn and Zero SR, who have provided extra evidence of what I went through of Surge's behavior. He cheated on me with a Ayako Azul and has used polyamory as an excuse for being unfaithful and consistently gaslit, manipulated, and lied to my friends and me. I gave him multiple chances back then to be a friend, just for it to end when he started to claim that I was a manipulator towards him. I already had a lot of trauma being manipulated in the past by partners and friends, so hearing that he consistently was painting me as a manipulator to others even till this day, and quote that I never supported him being poly, end quote, and pushing he was a victim, completely shattered my soul for so long because I truly loved and adored him when we were together. I dropped so many boundaries that he requested to be lowered for him. For example, he wanted to flirt more with his friends, not just male friends but also female, jokingly for content and just to be friendly. I wanted to be supportive, so I allowed it, which was a big one for me because I often had insecurities of others stealing my significant other away. And anytime we had any disagreement or need of reassurance, we would always communicate. When he told me that he was poly, my initial reaction was that I was happy for him. The reason I became so upset with him in the future was because he tried to use it as an excuse for being unfaithful. After all experience with him, I was left with a lot of trauma and pain that I had to take a lot of time healing from due to what I had experienced with him. That is the beginning. Also, I want to throw in my 2 cents. This is just me. I've never been in a poly relationship because I'm monogamous, right? Being poly is not an excuse to cheat. You can cheat even if you're in a poly relationship. That's just my take. Your partner not wanting you to cheat is not the same as them not supporting your poly relationship. You can be poly and still cheat. It is all about communication. The beginning of boundaries being pushed. Context the screenshot. There were multiple times I showed and communicated I was uncomfortable due to my past trust issues with the flirting, especially he would often be flirting with Ayako, mostly in calls and in server chats. At this moment in the screenshots wanted to ask me if I was jealous of Ayako, because Ayako told Surge they were worried I was jealous of her. I believe she had noticed the signs of me feeling unhappy and uncomfy. He would often try to reassure me that that's just how she is with friends when I did tell him I was uncomfortable. I wanted to believe him, so I did because I didn't want to think badly of his intentions or hers. So here's a conversation between Surge and Aishi. Surge says, "Hey babe, I have a question for you. So I've been talking to Ayako pretty much every day and she's worried that you get jealous of her or something. Is that true? Are you jealous of Aya?" Aishi says, "TBH, no, I'm not jealous of Aya. The only time I get jealous is during the simping for you, mainly because I never really met anybody like that before. So the most I know how to react is just, should I be jealous? I know I should, but I am. That's my boyfriend, heart go burr." The typo is, so the most I know how to react is just, should I be jealous? I shouldn't, but I am. That's my boyfriend, heart go burr, you know? It's just somewhat new to me and slightly out of my comfort zone. It'll eventually fade as I know Aya. Plus, you forget I have a lot of trauma and hella trust issues when it comes to other girls sometimes. Again, it all comes with getting to know them better and getting comfortable. So Surge says, "Thank you, that not only reassures me, but I'm sure it'll reassure her. Because she told me last night she has friendships end because her friends and girlfriends feel threatened by her." I listen to a lot of Reddit stories. A lot of your friendships end because your friends' girlfriends are uncomfortable with you, might be the problem. Is it possible that they are all crazy and you are doing nothing wrong? But there's a saying, if it stinks everywhere you go, you might want to check under your own shoe. That's just me. It could be possible everybody's crazy, but I have a feeling if everybody's girlfriends are uncomfortable with you, you are probably pushing too many boundaries. So here, there's this more cute like conversations between them with Surge being like, "Oh, she's just worried," and Aishi being like, "Oh, you know, it's okay. I'm not used to the amount of simping you get, but I understand." He twisted and told others that I never supported his When we first broke up, it was due to the fact that I was not polyamorous, but I was still supportive of him finding out who he was in his sexuality. He continuously pushed and continued to say, quote, in a perfect world, he would have me and another as his loves, end quote. Aishi says, it was extremely painful and made me upset of him pushing to the point I had to tell him, even after he knew I'm not poly, that I had an experience far in my past for a very short time with it and I don't want to do poly ever again because it hurts too much. He then got mad at me for not telling him my past experience when I already told him multiple times I'm monogamous through a whole relationship and I don't share partners. We decided to break up and heal at that point on a mutual okay note. And note, this all happened in a call when he returned home from a personal trip. Context, he originally saw my vent about how I was feeling in a venting channel because we both had one in our servers. Added context, this was also before I found out about his feelings for Ayako. I want to say, Surge, you tried to manipulate people into thinking I was never supportive of you being poly, but I literally said I was happy for you for finding out who you are in your sexuality alongside how I was sad we couldn't align. I'm glad you're finding yourself. It just hurts so much that we couldn't align, end quote. Look, I'm just saying, guys, this was just me. Again, maybe my opinion doesn't matter because I've never been in a poly relationship, right? Because I am monogamous. But I feel like breaking up with somebody because you find that your sexualities don't align is valid. I'm just saying with my boyfriend, if I am monogamous and I found out my boyfriend is poly, I will break up with him because it's not fair. Like, it's unfair to jail him into a monogamous relationship when that's not what he wants. It's unfair to me for him to get a second girlfriend because I want to be monogamous. You're only holding each other back by maintaining a relationship like that. It would not be me not supporting his sexuality. It would be me wanting both of us to be happy. This scenario is the same. And his logic of, in a perfect world, he would have me and another. You don't get to have your cake and eat it too. If your current partner is monogamous, you don't get to have them and have somebody else. That's not how this works. You're forcing something on somebody that they don't want. You're forcing polyamory onto your partner when they want to remain monogamous. Yeah, it's just communication. It's the same thing. Like, if you're in a heterosexual relationship and one person realizes lesbian or something, hypothetically, right? Like, let's say the girlfriend realizes they're lesbian. It would be unfair for them to maintain the relationship on both parties. It's unfair to the guy because he was looking for a heterosexual relationship. And it's also unfair to the girlfriend. She's lesbian. It's all about communication, obviously. It looks different for every relationship. There's been relationships where people came out and they still keep the relationship because they realize like their love for each other overrides that. It's all about communication. But in this scenario, we have it written out. Aishi was not okay with polyamory. So here's Surge talking about seeing the vents. Aishi saying, yeah, I don't know what I want yet. I'm kind of overthinking about the breakup. Surge says, I understand. I've been feeling a lot of guilt because of the breakup because it ruined something good. But I'm trying to remind myself that neither of us did anything wrong and I'm taking time to explore myself. Aishi says, yeah, I understand why. The guilt is normal, but I'm here. I'm not gone. I'll be here. We'll still be friends, but I feel like I have a needle in my heart. I'm glad you're finding yourself. It just hurts so much that we couldn't align. Surge says, I feel the same way. I don't think you realize how much it hurts for me too. So yeah, I mean, it sounds like both of them are on the same page about the breakup and about how they both have care for each other. So I'm curious as to where Surge switched up on this. Beginning of finding out the truth. Later on, we gave each other the chance to be friends after the breakup on March 30th, 2023. Then I found out on April 3rd, 2023 at 3:49 p.m. PST. Not only did they come with receipts, Aishi came with timestamps. After a bit of catching up with Surge about our personal lives, when he confirms to me they were dating. Surge says, you're not gonna like it. And Aishi says, with Ayako, yeah, I already guessed. I'm starting not to care. Surge says, I didn't want to mention it to you, but yeah. Aishi says, y'all are dating. I wanted to ask before because I assumed you guys were getting closer. Surge says, we might be. We're never going to make it public. Aishi says, I have a feeling people are going to catch on quick. I know I did, seeing Aya's status. Aishi says, I feel like I've got a weight off me being told straight that you guys are. Kind of what I needed to let go, so thank you. And Surge says, no problem, but I want to know because I know we still do care at least about each other, but I was already moving on and I want to know if you were too, just to ease my mind. Aishi says, I think you started moving along before I was, but yeah, I am. You're fine, just curious. Were you beginning feelings for her long before the breakup, weren't you? Surge says, maybe I was, but I can tell you for sure I didn't realize them till afterwards. I know that much. And you had nothing to do with me liking her either. I'm literally poly. I can like more than one person and me liking another isn't less on you. Again, I just had an aha moment just like you and I did. At that moment didn't happen till after the breakup. Aishi says, at first I wasn't super upset about the fact he moved on fast, especially since he said the feelings didn't start till after the breakup. But Surge was lying. That same night, not long after this convo, I was being told from Arburn that Surge, he did have feelings for Ayako long before the breakup. At first, I just wanted to move on no matter how much it hurt because I didn't want to lose him in my life as a friend. Not long after my appointment and Surge getting mad and DMing Arbun tells me at first what he did to me was a misunderstanding. This was like 4 p.m. So this is what, 20 minutes later? Surge says, yeah, I was flirting, but I was with others. Probably referring to Ayako, stating how they were flirting with Ayako, but also flirting with other people. You literally watched me flirt with Safi, didn't mention a word. Aishi says that was different, Surge. You knew what you were doing. You both were hard flirting before the breakup. You both started dating instantly after the breakup. Surge says, no, we didn't. Aishi says, not getting anybody involved because Surge wanted to know who said it. Surge says, was it Bags? Bags referring to Arburn. Maybe that's their Discord handle. Because he's the only one I told I was having any feelings for her after the breakup. There was barely any actual flirting before the breakup, no more than I was with anybody else. Or at least I didn't see it that way. I still thought we were memeing when Aya confessed that she liked me. Legitimately, you can even ask her that. Yes, I felt attraction to her. No, I didn't realize that it was a joke anymore until after the breakup. She says, are you freaking kidding? She admitted and you thought it was a meme. Surge says that was after the breakup. She says, you felt attraction to other people, you know full well how that would hurt me. Why couldn't you just tell me sooner? Even if you didn't know you were poly, you were having feelings for others. Surge says, because I didn't know. I didn't know how my heart worked at that time. And I didn't realize how I was actually feeling. I thought it was a stupid thing that would go away. She says, I understand you don't understand your heart, but that doesn't mean you could have kept the relationship going. Surge says, it's happened in past relationships and I've told you about that. I thought we could be different. Aishi says, clearly it wasn't. Surge says, oh really? We're not together right now, so clearly not. What's your point? Because what I'm saying is I literally didn't think it was real. You were joking just like how I was with Safi. As for Aya, the jokes kept going because that's literally how she is. She's the same way with Ash and some of the other friends. I didn't know that I was the person she was being for real with, and I didn't think I was feeling anything for her. Throwing in my 2 cents here, I've been in a fair amount of relationships, okay? Using the, I am just flirty, that's how I am, and oh, she is just flirty, that's how she is not an excuse when both of y'all are heavily flirting with each other, allegedly monogamous relationship. Everybody has different boundaries in their relationships, and Aishi already said they were okay with Surge flirting with other people, uncomfortable. They were uncomfortable with it, but they talked with Surge and they let down that boundary because Surge insisted. And I'm just saying right now, I think that's the weakest excuse to use. Oh, that's just how she is. She flirts with everybody. You know, I've had this talk with my boyfriend and he has a liking. You know how there's those guys who like are extremely flirty with everybody, men and women, like straight men. And then they only do this as an excuse to then be touchy with girls. And I'm only speaking from like a heterosexual experience because I'm straight, right? Y'all know those guys who will, the where's my hug guys, who will go and be really touchy with their guy friends. They will also then turn and do it to women. And then everyone's always like, oh, that's just how he is. He's just like really flirty or really touchy. You really think he's stupid? You really think he's dumb? If he does these long hugs with his male friends, sometimes those guys will pull that excuse so they can turn around and do the same thing to girls. But it would be weird if he only did it to women, so therefore he would have to do it with men too. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if anybody has ever had that experience, but I've known some guys that are like that. The where's my hug guys, you know? But they're like, oh, but I do it with guys too. Like that'll be their excuse so they can get away with being weirdly touchy with girls. Yeah, there are people who are naturally flirty, but I think it's there's like, it comes off a certain way, at least to me. Like there's some people that are just smooth, man. They're just smooth, they're charming. It just rolls off of them. Everybody loves them, men, women, doesn't matter. Everybody loves them because they're just extremely charming people. And then there's like the greasier way. And that's like a different thing, you know? It's like the intention is different. So here, Aishi says spelling correction. So Aishi says, I thought we were doing so well. You were the one often feeling like you were about to fall or wasn't okay with the relationship. You told me straight you were uncomfortable. I know you love me, but I rather you not stay because you think putting up with my boundaries that were uncomfortable for you would eventually go away. That's not how it works. And now you broke up with me because of that and our points of views are different. Surge says, you can't say I knew what I was doing. I still don't know what I'm doing. Aishi says, even though you didn't know, your heart was feeling away. You both were getting so damn close and you saw how worried I was. You saw how worried Aya was. Now look, both of you are together. This just gives me like full cheater vibes, bro. I was in the same thing. I dated a guy in high school. We dated for 2 years. There was a girl. Homie was like, don't worry about her. And we broke up and guess what? Same as them. 5 days later, they started dating. Like he made me feel crazy for being worried about her. But my spidey senses were going off. The alarm bells were ringing because I was like, you are way too close to her because I know you don't have female friends. Like you only have one female friend. So how did you end up with this other person you suddenly got really close with the moment you got to college? So here Surge is asking to talk in VC. Aishi is saying, no, we're going to stay friends. I just wanted to confront you. I hope you're both happy, but I'm going to move on. Surge says, you clearly still care. I don't want you blaming yourself. That's what I don't want. Aishi says, who said I blame myself? None of this is my fault. I'm just irritated. So Aishi went to their appointments. And here they're stating that they still want to be friends, or Surge is stating that they still want them to be friends. Surge had apologized. Aishi didn't accept the apology. And then Aishi says that they're trying to let themselves heal. Surge says, I hate to bring this up again, but I just want to explain this big concept to you. I don't know if this will help or not, or if this will make us being friends easier, but I just need to get this off my chest. I am literally poly, which all that means is I have the ability to love more than one person. Therefore, even if there was actual feelings involved with Aya when we were flirting before our breakup, that didn't change anything of how I felt. This is not about the sexuality. Dude, that is not a valid excuse. Because here's the thing, no matter what, Surge still emotionally cheated. What cheating looks like is crossing the set boundaries of your relationship. In some relationships, your partner wouldn't care if you went and had a one-night stand with somebody. They wouldn't call it cheating. In some relationships, like kissing somebody of the same gender doesn't count as cheating. It's relationship by relationship. In this relationship, it sounds like Aishi multiple times have iterated. My boundary is I have past trauma, other girls kind of meddling in the relationship. I don't want you to get involved romantically with other women and other girls. Like, just that's my line. And here is Surge romantically catching feelings for somebody else in the relationship. That was what Aishi said they clearly were uncomfortable with. That was their boundary. And it sounds like for them, crossing that line would constitute cheating for them. It doesn't matter if Surge is poly or not. What Surge did was cross the boundary of what Aishi was comfortable with and what would be considered cheating in the dynamic of their relationship with the two people. It might sound fucked up for me to say, but it sounds like he's using being poly as an excuse for this, because his argument is, oh, I'm poly, so I didn't love you any less, even if I might have had feelings for Aya, because I am capable of having the same amount of feelings for multiple people. But that doesn't change the fact that Aishi's cheating boundary was crossed. That boundary being, hey, I don't want you to get romantically involved with other women when you are with me. It's two separate things. Because again, cheating looks different in every relationship. But even in a poly relationship, you can still cheat. And yeah, he's just using being poly as an excuse. If boundaries are stated in the relationship and if they're crossed, the one who crossed effed up. And boundaries for every relationship looks different. Some relationships, you can literally sleep with other people and your partner wouldn't care. Some relationships, you can kiss people of the same gender, your partner wouldn't care. Some relationships, like even watching, sussy materials, the corn hubs in bed is considered cheating. In some relationships, that is the boundary. It looks different for every relationship. But in their relationship, Surge had crossed the boundaries. Whether he was poly or not, didn't matter. He crossed it. So here's Arburn's statement. This is Arburn/Bags. I want to defend my actions of leaking DMs on the guides of morality. I understand that's not a good thing to do. That's on me. I stood to gain nothing from leaking what I did. I did make the mistake of continuing to stay close to Surge, as he had influenced me to believe that Aishi was in the wrong in some sort of way. This can be seen in the screenshots I provided, and I will own up to that mistake. I stayed close with both of them. This was the case for Aishi until September 27, 2023. The reason for this departure was that Aishi confronted me about leaked private confidential information of hers to Surge and his group that ended up being blamed on me by an unnamed individual who is no longer connected to us, which was untrue that I leaked that info. I was dealing with a lot of my own issues, and I never resolved it with Aishi until late July 17, 2024, where we discovered the misunderstanding. End of Arburn's remark. Steph, poly demands more from the poly individual, not less. More accountability, more honesty, more discipline. Yeah, that's what it sounds like. I went down a big old rabbit hole of reading about poly relationships and the experience of poly individuals so I could be more educated. This was not for this. This was a while ago because I was just curious about how the dynamics worked. And yeah, poly relationships are extremely hard to maintain. There's a weird thing where some people want to be poly so they could get the best of both worlds and have all their cake and eat it too. And then they realize how hard it is to maintain poly relationships successfully because they don't realize they just want to be oh, I could date a ton of people. And they realize, oh no, I actually need to really communicate everything and, be extremely honest and open and transparent. And that's not something they're capable of doing. It takes a lot of maturity and accountability and everything to be in a poly relationship. In the next screenshots, Surge kept pushing and wanting to see the DMs I saw to explain his side, but I didn't show them because I didn't see the point of having to hear him explain what I already saw full proof of. Arburn was literally sending and screen sharing at the time in the group call, and all his DMs with Surge while in call with both me and Zero. The same day of finding out more of the truth, the first thing Surge tells me to justify his actions of continuing the relationship when he knew I was monogamous was to explain and make me understand what poly is and how it works. After the fact, he was already flirting with her behind my back, and I found out he was cheating. Again, you can still cheat if you're poly. Aishi says that Surge was basically using being poly as an excuse and that it is disgusting, especially he knows that Aishi is still already monogamist. May I also quote this little interaction shown below of me quoting a screenshot of what Arburn showed to be when we were in a group chat. We scoured everywhere for the screenshot, but still can't find it. Surge doesn't deny, but try to justify by saying, so Aishi says, so if things mess up with Ayako, you really thought you can come back and slap a ring on my finger? Surge says, no. And Aishi says, I don't want to hear anything. Surge says, if I realize I actually wasn't poly. This is where he tried to explain the concept of polyamory to me, explaining how he can love more than one person, trying to excuse the fact he had feelings for Ayako, knowing I am monogamist, and trying to keep the relationship going without confiding in me after denying multiple times or beat around the bush when I would ask if he liked her. So that was the screenshot we read earlier where he was stating that I can love more than one person equally, and I'm very hurt that you would think I was flirting with Aya with intentions to leave you for her. That's what I exclaimed to Bags in multiple times, that in a perfect world that doesn't exist, I wish you and Aya were my loves. I have told him that after the breakup, which is a detail he seemed to have left out. Aishi says, your apologies are not enough at all. I don't think you understand how much pain you made me feel. You were hiding so much from me before the breakup and when it came to you both. If you knew I would be in pain, why the hell did you do it? Why did you try to continue? You being poly has nothing to do with the fact you hurt me. Aya hasn't said shit to defend you or said anything about this either. And when she said I'm not after your man, yet confesses to you, and you both continuously flirting, I don't think you understand how much I found out today, and not by word of mouth, but I've literally seen DMs. I don't think you understand how you feel or how much is actually happening. You don't understand how hard I'm taking this. I'm shaking. A simple I'm sorry, I'm in pain too doesn't cut it at all. Just because you're poly doesn't change the absolute fact you hurt me so badly. Surge says, I never said it did. Aishi's, also, I talked to Aya and she is hurt too. Why does he keep throwing Aya into this? This is making it worse. Aishi clearly does not want to hear about Aya because Aya is part of the problem. I'm saying, okay, here's the thing, right? Like, there's no way Aya did not know Surge was with Aishi, right? So Aya is also at fault here. Like, Surge is very manipulative here by constantly trying to guilt Aishi by being like, Aya's hurt too. Aya's sorry. Like, Aya is part of the fucking problem. Like, why do you keep bringing up Aya's feelings? Surge keeps trying to make Aishi care about Aya's feelings. Aya states that he started telling our friends I was believing lies, and I instantly confronted him. Aishi says, stop telling everybody I'm believing lies. I've seen DMs of shit, Surge. Just stop. Surge says, I rephrased it as nothing is a lie, but there's so much context missing because what you're saying is not the full truth. Here's the thing. I hate the notion of, but there's context missing because what you're saying is not the full truth. In every situation, there's two sides and the truth. Surge saying this, my side is that I'm poly, da-da-da. The actual truth is that you crossed a boundary that Aishi had drawn in the sand, and you are trying to manipulate Aishi and gaslight them into thinking otherwise. This is a side note, but the lolly girls are literally doing the same shit to me, but I'm not falling for this. They're like, you're spreading misinformation, da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There is no misinformation. Clearly into lolly stuff. It is all over the place. There's no room for misinterpretation here. I would argue maybe in some of my videos, they could potentially be like gray areas. That one is a straight black and white. You are into lolly stuff or you are not into lolly stuff. And clearly they are into lolly stuff. So here is Surge constantly asking for DMs. Surge says, because you don't want to see the truth. Aishi says, what does that matter? I see the truth. And Surge says, you want to believe your own things. Aishi says, I seen so many DMs. Surge is gaslighting so hard here. What do you mean you don't want to see the truth? The truth is there was a boundary in y'all's relationship. Surge, you crossed it. You being poly has nothing to do with it. You crossed the boundary. Dude, I'm getting pissed at Surge, man, because this is like the same language that my ex uses. I will explain the entire whole timeline from beginning to end so you can see the truth. Why does he keep saying truth? Surge says, but you don't want that. You just want to believe what you see. You're right. None of it was lies. But you know you don't know what was going through my brain through all of this. And you don't know my intentions. You don't know how much fucking stress and struggle everything was causing me. And I'll admit, I fucked up. I did hide some things from you because I knew no matter what I told you, whether I was poly, whether I was happy staying with you, none of that mattered. I was scared. Dude, we're at page 16, by the way. You're telling me there's another 22 pages of this BS? So here Surge says, yeah, I called with Aya after our breakup, after I ended the call with redacted because Aya knew that we were going to have a conversation about me being poly. And I thought I wanted to work things out. I knew deep in my heart we weren't going to be able to stay together. I called to ask Aya because of comfort as a friend, because that's what you do. You literally call somebody yourself right after the breakup or somebody called you. And I was being called by redacted and Aya and my heart was shattered too. You don't realize how much it pained me. You don't realize how much it still hurts me even right now. And Aishi says, you want me to feel bad after you broke up with me and now you're with Aya? The amount of gaslighting and manipulative language Surge is using here is so gross. Surge is being like, I am hurt. I am like in so much pain. This all started because of you. It's like whipping out a gun, shooting yourself in the foot with your own gun, and then being like, you don't know how much pain I'm in right now. My foot hurts, bro. You did it. Oh, woe is you, suffering from the consequences of your own shitty actions. Who would have thought? So context, I called two of my closest friends at the time I knew I could trust and talked to them about my heartbreak and feelings. I want to clarify the feelings I was referring to was past trauma I had of feeling scared of my significant other being taken from me. Also, on top of the many times I asked if he liked her while in the relationship or any other person he would deny. And the insecurity in how I communicated I was uncomfy with the Ayako flirting. I'm also just saying here too, a lot of times in like toxic relationships, your partner would make you feel crazy. They'll be like, you're so insecure, you're so crazy, when they're out here doing really weird and sus behavior with other people. Like, no, you're not insecure. They're just engaging in behaviors that cross your boundaries and trying to put the blame on you for reacting to them crossing boundaries. Because again, you know, in my scenario, the girl that he told me not to worry about was the same girl he dated 5 days after we broke up. But I was crazy. But I was insecure for worrying about her. It was a valid reason for me to be concerned. And same in this scenario. So Aishi is like, you want me to feel bad after you broke up with me and now you're with Aya? You knew how I felt. You knew. Surge says, how you felt about what? About Aya? About me being poly? About what? You knew and you were flirting with her. It's a damn joke at the beginning. It was going and going and going. Surge is stating, I'm not asking you to feel bad. I'm asking you to realize that just because I'm with Aya doesn't mean I still don't love you. What in the psycho is this? This is, again, not about him being poly. That is not the issue here. Aishi says, I don't care you're poly. I care that I trusted you with my heart and instantly afterwards you're with Ayako. I don't care. If you loved me, I wouldn't be in pain. And instead of trying to clear things up about why you're here where you are, we wouldn't even be in this. If you truly cared, you would be trying to comfort me and give me an actual apology. Surge then says, well then, I'm sorry. I really am. I fucked up. I'll admit it. This is a screenshot provided by Zero. So I apologize to Aishi for being unfaithful. I apologize to Bags for not listening to him and I want to move forward. No, honestly, I hate this guy. Like, this guy is literally like, triggering is not the right word, but like, reminds me so much of my exes. It's not even funny. There's a reason why I'm not with any of them, because they suck. And so Aishi says, for what? Tell me. Like, for like referring to, for what are you sorry for, Surge? Surge says, I was flirting with Aya and I was developing feelings for her. And I should have told you I was scared beyond everything. And I was really depressed because I thought these feelings were just me being a horrible person. I never wanted to hurt you. Even now I don't. You still mean the world to me. I'll lay it all out right now. I stopped hiding shit. I'll stop trying to defend myself. I was having feelings for Aya before the breakup. And I was so scared to tell you anything because I would have to explain to you that I'm poly. I knew deep down about how that conversation would end. So I didn't have the strength to tell you, and I'm so sorry. I effed up big time, and you don't even have to accept my apology. Try to understand or whatever. I'm sorry. I told Redacted on that call directly after the breakup that I was really sad. In a perfect world, I could love you and Aya at the same time. But that perfect world doesn't exist. That's not only the person I told that to. I want to prove to you that I still care about you, and I truly am sorry for hiding things from you, and flirting behind your back, and betraying your trust. She says, and there it is, the whole truth. You could have told me sooner, and I wouldn't be in so much pain and feeling betrayed. I won't be able to forgive you, and this friendship, I can't. I'm sorry. Surge says, that's okay. I crossed your boundaries in our relationship, and I hid so much from you. You have no reason to forgive me. Finally, he admits it. So here are some main screenshots I saw in the group chat, 2 examples of what we could recover, and this was a whole month. This was March 25th, 2023, before me confronting him about seeing DMs. So this is a conversation between Surge and Arborn. Remember, Arborn is also Bags. Surge cheated on Aishi. So Surge is stating that it's gonna make me look like a horrible person. Arborn says, you can tell me, and Surge says, she's in my head rent-free. Not Aishi, that's the problem. That's the effing problem, it's not Aishi, and I can't help it. Arborn's trying to figure out who it is. Surge says, I'm not gonna answer. So I'm too uncomfortable to answer that. Please don't tell Aishi, I will talk to her myself. I don't know what to do, and my brain is just being down bad, the down bad MF I am, and I can't help it. And these were in end of March. Remember, they broke up in April. Surge and Arborn are talking about that. Arborn states they're not gonna go tell Aishi, and they're trying to comfort Surge and trying to tell them to stay strong. So here's more context of Surge lying. Even 2 days after the screenshot provided by Arborn, there was this, where he wanted to tell me he was poly, but quote says, I should probably say there is nobody else. I'm not interested in anybody else but you, end quote. But says 2 days prior, he's thinking of somebody that is not Aishi, aka Ayako. So here Surge says, this is on March 27, 2023. So this is 2 days after Surge told Arborn that he was having feelings with Ayako. 2 days later, Surge says, not in a bad way, I was afraid of how you would take it because I know your brain goes blur sometimes and will overthink things I tell you. Aishi says, I'm worried. And Surge says, I'll answer all your questions tonight. And Aishi says, I don't want to lose you and you know I don't share. And Surge says, I can promise you, you won't lose me. You know I don't like sharing. Oh boy, this sounds like conversations I had with my ex too. My other ex. There was a guy I dated in college who did some stuff like this too. That's the same type of language he used on me. I fell for it at the time. I ain't falling for it again. Aishi was worried about what Surge said earlier, where he said, including the shit I've been dealing with the past week that I didn't tell you because I was scared. Aishi says you're scared to tell me stuff and it happens a lot. And Surge says I will tell you everything. I'm just saying right now, not my high school ex now. I hope you guys actually like my personal anecdotes. I dated a guy in college and he lived with his ex of 7 years. Now they're like engaged to be married or something like that. I don't know, man. Their relationship is a mess. Craziest stuff ever. But he literally would use the same language. He would be like, I'm scared to tell you things because you overthink things. I was only overthinking things because he was doing suspicious behavior. He would get drunk and then make her pick him up. Like, I would tell him that it makes me uncomfortable. Like, nothing against you drinking, just don't get so inebriated that you need to like consistently rely on her. He would always have a reason as to why he had to go to her for something. Like, oh, because I live with her, like I needed her to do this. Or because our families are close, I needed her to do that. Or because like, he'd be like, oh, but I'd be scared to tell you because like you overthink things. I'm only overthinking it again because you're doing stuff like this. Because you're giving me a reason to overthink it because you're hiding things and lying and stuff like that. Like with my boyfriend, I don't overthink anything. I'm extremely secure in a relationship with my boyfriend because I know he never lies to me. There's like nothing for me to overthink. He's not out there doing weird sussy stuff behind my back that I then always have to question. He's not putting himself in scenarios that would make me uncomfortable because we've communicated our boundaries. Both of us know what scenarios will make the other person uncomfortable and we avoid said scenarios. Point blank simple. Easy as that. But of course, if you're in a relationship where somebody doesn't respect your boundaries and is constantly doing things that make you uncomfortable, you're gonna start overthinking things. And in this case, Aishi can't trust that Surge will respect their boundaries because Surge has historically shown they don't respect their boundaries. Partners like that would give you reasons to be insecure. They could take a secure person and make them insecure with little comments. They slowly start whittling you down and you don't even realize it. It's so toxic. Surge says, well, to be fair, you've been scared to tell me things multiple times too, babe. Not the same thing. Not the same thing, bro. You are scared to tell Aishi things because you're doing things that you know would make her uncomfortable. So of course you're scared to tell her if you're knowingly making her uncomfortable. Like my ex would do this too. He would be like, oh, but you also did this too. I was scared to tell him things because he would flip out on me for no reason. I could have a male barista at a boba shop and he would flip the hell out. So of course I'd be scared to tell him things because he would blow up on the smallest little things. So without context, I don't believe it. I don't believe this line. I feel like Aishi had valid reasons to be scared to tell Surge things. I'm smelling it because his language smells exactly like the language my ex used. College ex this time. Surge says, we both know by now we're not a perfect relationship, but that's what makes us strong. That's what makes us good because we can work things out. You know how many relationships struggle with that? Yap, 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 yap. So much yap, so little action, you know? Working things out, you know? That's what makes the relationship good. How about you just don't cross Aishi's boundaries? Stop doing things that make Aishi uncomfortable and then y'all be good. Surge says, I just want you to know how much I love you. Words can't describe it, but actions might be able to, which is why I'm excited for your birthday. I have big things planned. Aishi says, I have a question. I don't have to share you, right? And Surge says, not for the trip, I promise. I feel like Aishi sounds like they're asking for in general, but I'm gonna try to ignore that. But I should probably say there is nobody else. I'm not interested in anybody else but you. But it doesn't change my feelings. I'm sure you know that you don't have to have a girlfriend to understand you're lesbian or have a boyfriend to understand you're gay. Sorry, wait. I think Surge thought they were cooking here. I don't understand. Surge said, I'm not interested in anybody else but you. March 27th, 2023. Let's go up here. Let me remind you, Surge DM'd Arborn March 25th, 2023, 2 days before. I have somebody in my head rent-free, not Aishi. That's the problem. And I can't help it. So Aishi says, yeah, I know that, but you sure you just want to stay with me? And Surge says, not inherently, because that's not how poly relationships work. And Aishi says, what? What do you mean? We'll talk about this tonight. That's definitely reassuring. Really starts, he says this on the 30th, 3 days after that last interaction. And after saying there's no one else then when I asked you if you like her, he says he would be lying if he didn't find her attractive. I never once mentioned Ayako influencing his decision being poly. He instantly assumed I would blame her for his discovery because I knew she was poly. This is one of the several times I believed he used his sexuality to justify his actions. Again, I had no idea about his feelings to Ayako at that time. This is all before her birthday. In the end, I still wanted to be supportive of him for finding his sexuality, though we still broke up because I can't do poly. Yeah, Surge is being very confusing. These are like screenshots before they broke up. So basically, Surge says, can I say something? I don't know if it will ease your mind. It makes sense to say it. Aishi says, sure. Surge says, even if Aya and I did have something together, I wouldn't leave you for her. I literally am poly. That is not reassuring, by the way. Aishi says, I guess. Surge says, if it were up to me, I would still be with you. It sounds like Surge is like lying to himself and trying to convince himself this, but in DMs with Aishi. Aishi says, so you do like her, I'm guessing. And I guess that eases, but at the same time, I don't know. Surge says, I would be lying if I said I didn't find her attractive. Yes. Aishi says, okay, and Surge says, but again, she has nothing to do with the breakup. You know that. This is literally the same conversation that I've had the same conversation with my ex, my college ex, where he would literally hit me with the, oh, if I did think something about her, I wouldn't leave you for her. This is what manipulators do. They make you feel crazy. Like my college ex, he spent so long trying to convince me that he wasn't into his ex, that it was very sus that he was talking so much about why he wasn't into his ex. You know what I'm saying? Why are you explaining this so much? He would tell me over and over again how many reasons why he wouldn't get back with her, everything he hated about her, this, that, and the third. But guess who's getting engaged now? I guess because they're engaged now. A little bit of projection there, maybe. So there's a bit of time jump here, which makes it a little bit confusing. How to read your name? Zunes? Resuming back to April 4th, 2023. There was a point sometime before him admitting where I told him Ayako wasn't saying anything to defend them. Ayako reaches out. They would flirt in front of me as friends when we were together. Yes, she always knew since the day me and him were dating at the time, and there came a point in call I did tell him I was beginning to feel uncomfortable, and all Surge would say is, that's just how she is. She's just flirty, which is so disrespectful to my boundaries. But I let aside for the longest time because I never wanted to start anything and wanted to be supportive and not think badly of him. In these screenshots, Ayako basically tried to guilt trip me for being mad at him over finding out he was cheating. The first 8 lines of her messages was before he admitted, and I first answered at the time before he apologized for being unfaithful, aka cheating, after he admitted at 11:37 a.m. So again, when did they break up again? They broke up March 30th, 2023. So the conversation about the trip happened right before they broke up. The conversation with Ayako happened 4 days after the breakup. Ayako says, hey girlie, TBH, this is going to be hard and terrified, but I need the closure because I'm worried about how you are. I've done a lot of thinking and I decided to tank the hits. If you hate me, that's okay. If Bags hates me, that's okay. Please don't hate. He values your opinion of him more than anything, and he doesn't want you to think less of him. I'm being for real. You guys are all longtime friends and have been his support system. I'm the new one around and the odd one out. So I understand if you don't want to be friends. Aishi says, on all of this, I'm not destroying myself. I didn't do anything wrong. I'm hurt because I feel betrayed. Oh, but the poly stuff doesn't have anything to do with it. My heart was literally hurt. You knew he was with me. You both went into a relationship almost instantly after ours ended. I heard enough. Neither of you care. You care that you're hurting and he's hurting. And now that I'm actually trying to protect myself from being hurt more by telling him I'm done hearing, now you guys suddenly want to clear it out. And even then, it's all the same words repeated. I'm not at fault for any of this, so why would I destroy myself over it? You guys are in pain. Figure out what you're going to do for your hearts because I'm not helping you. You're not worried about me. You're worried I will ruin Surge, and when he's hurting, now you're hurting. Again, I made my mind and I'm standing my ground. I'm done listening. I do agree though. It does seem like Ayako's only reaching out because Surge is upset. They're not reaching out because they realize what they did was wrong. Ayako says, saying that I'm putting fault on you or that I'm not worried about you is bull. I'm not blaming you. There isn't anybody to blame for this. The reason this is all coming out now because control was literally taken out of our hands. How we wanted to tell people, including you, was taken out of our hands. It wasn't on our terms. What do you mean? Y'all cheated during the relationship. What do you mean it's out of your terms to tell you? If it were up to y'all, you guys probably wouldn't have revealed the fact y'all were cheating. I'm just saying, right? What cheater wants to reveal the fact they're a cheater? So I don't believe that. Aishi says, who cares? We found out. No matter how you told us, this would have come out. You both are behind my back flirting and shit. It's not a joke anymore when it's so damn consistent with the flirting and you both could feel yourselves developing feelings. This is majorly Surge's decision to do what he did. This has nothing to do with him being poly, but the fact he betrayed my trust and so did you. This is something for both of you guys to figure out on how to move on. I agree too. It has nothing to do with him being poly. At the end of the day, there was a boundary that Surge crossed. Point blank simple. He keeps trying to use poly as as a reason why, but it doesn't change the fact that he cheated in this relationship. Every relationship has different boundaries. In their relationship, that constitutes cheating. Ayako says all the flirting that was done while you two together were jokes. It was explained that it was all jokes. I can use that argument for anything, bro, right? All the flirting we did were jokes. All the making out we did were jokes. I didn't mean anything. Yeah, me sleeping with them, yeah, it was just a joke. You think that excuse is gonna fly? You're telling me if I go have a one-night stand with somebody right now, tonight, I come home tomorrow to my boyfriend and I tell him, oh, I slept with this guy, but it was a joke. You think that's gonna fly? I never pursued him while you two were together. Nothing was done behind your back. I even told you it was all my humor. And you're right, this has nothing to do with him being poly. His sexuality does not have anything to do with this. And guess what? We figured out how to move forward. But because I care, I'm not speaking for him, but only for me. I'm making sure you get your answers and closure from the start and through all of the hurt. I do fucking care. Wait. Ayako, nobody asked you. Ayako at 9:40 a.m. said, I kind of need the closure. And then Ayako at 12:01 p.m. and says, I'm making sure you get your answers and closure from the start and through all of the hurt. I fucking care. In the 2 hours and 21 minutes between when you sent that first message and now, Now it's all for Aishi. You were the one who reached out to Aishi. If Aishi wanted closure, Aishi would have reached out to you. So this is a little delulu to me. Manipulative too. It's okay. Birds of a feather flock together, bro. But trash take themselves out, I guess. I don't know. Again, I don't know them as people, right? I don't know Surge. I don't know Aishi. I don't know Ayako. They could be shit partners, but maybe they're okay people in a friendship setting. I don't know, right? Personally, to me, I don't enjoy by the excuse, I'm just flirty. That's how I am. That's just my sense of humor. That's just how I am. I'm just a piece of shit. That's how I am. It really does give me pick me vibes, you know? Like we all know that pick me girl that has all those guys orbiting around her. Some of them are just like the girl is existing and these dudes are flocking to her. There are that scenario. But there's the pick me girls that also purposely enable that behavior. The guys are always like, that's just how she is, you know? And she's just like blatantly flirting with all of them. Again, if you're single, I guess you can do whatever you want. I'm just saying, I'm a girl's girl. I really don't like calling girls pick me girls, man, but I gotta call it as I see it, and that's what I'm smelling right now. That's what I'm smelling to me. And again, to me, this is me personally. I don't like the behavior. Oh, they're just flirty. They just have a flirty personality. Aishi says, it's not a joke, Aya. Him actually developing feelings wasn't a joke. He hid so much from me, and I'm not looking for answers. I've heard everything I needed to hear from the source, Surge, and every other person who's talked to him about everything. A lot of this started before the breakup. I want you to know I'm not blaming anyone for this. All I am is holding Surge accountable for what he's been saying and did, and I'm happy with everything. I heard the sides, got an apology, I'm done with it all. We're not friends anymore. You go be there for him, make him happy. Ayako says, fair enough. I'll take the step back and let everybody breathe. But remember this, while it's completely fair that you don't want to be friends, I at least never wanted to be enemies. Hopefully sometime in the future we can look back and start on a fresh page, but thank you for being a positive force to be around. Aishi says, we aren't enemies, never were. See ya. I agree, Z. I agree. Once you're a cheater in my book, your words holds no value anymore. So here, Aishi says, Surge gaslit and manipulated my friends. Not too long after this, I'm talking to a few mutual friends. I started to feel guilty for being mad, and I felt I was blinded by anger and not listening enough to what he had to say. Looking back, I was definitely gaslighting myself when my feelings were valid to be as angry as much as I was. I wanted some type of closure. Doesn't change the fact that all he did and all admitted was true. Long after we talked and cried, after talking, he decided to do some PR apology to our friend group for our relationship issues and to do some, quote, cleanup, end quote. So Aishi says they want to apologize for not hearing Surge out enough. They realized they were blinded by anger and generally feeling hurt. I feel like all of their anger was completely valid. But Aishi says, I feel pretty guilty because I didn't let you explain your side enough. I still feel lost, and I know 100% I didn't get the closure I need because I didn't hear you out fully. I was wondering if you wanted to call at some point and I could hear you out, and hopefully we can get some closure. Surge says, yes, please. I think we both want this to be over. Aishi says, I want this to be over, and they're calling. So Surge sent a photo of a necklace, I believe, if I remember correctly, is the Iron Mouse collab with Bisou Lovely. So the PR message wrote, hi, I just want to say that I'm sorry to everyone that it hurt. I know so many people look into Aishi and I let so many people down. Aishi and I talked it out. We want things to move on and eventually go back to normal. I know things are going to be really rough from now on, but just know that both parties want to move on and get along like the old days. I leave it up to you whether you want to be mad at me. I think I'm a bad person, whatever. That is your decision and you're right. But I just hope that if it's anything very personal that we can talk it out. Aishi want to clean up everything and look towards a better future we can all be friends again. Okay, I do think again in this scenario, Surge is more at fault than Ayako because Surge is the one that had the responsibility to be loyal to Aishi. Ayako's still in the wrong. Also, less wrong, still in the wrong, for knowing that Surge is in a relationship and pursuing him anyways. You can't say flirting is not pursuing romantically. I'm just saying. And I don't buy that argument. And on the same time, you can't be surprised Pikachu face people don't like you for stealing somebody's mans. It is what it is, you know? So here Aishi writes, for a while we stayed friends, but he started to claim some mutual friends that I was trying to pull away all his friends from him because they were upset with him over the cheating situation. He slowly started gaslighting my friends who were very upset with the cheating and him hurting me, stating that they basically shouldn't be mad or have a feeling on our situation because they weren't involved. You only care about keeping people calm and your reputation. These are messages Surge sent to Zero regarding everything that happens. I found out exactly how emotional people were taking the situation between Aishi and I, and to be completely honest, a part of me, they're disappointed they're acting like children, especially a couple that I will not name the names of. But I understand because I was somebody they looked up to and I let them down. So when I say thank you for keeping people in check, I found out how much you did, how hard it was to keep people calm, and I appreciate it. I appreciate you sticking by me. Surge then says, I took some time to reflect and I'm going to be completely honest. Like, I heard what you said yesterday and everything, but seriously, the situation has everything to do with Aishi, Aya, and I. I apologize to Aishi and that was it. I know things are rocky, but it'll smooth out, and I apologize for 2 bags. I don't need to apologize to the server. I don't need to apologize to the people who got involved since there's nothing for me to apologize apologize for to them. The only thing to admit was the mistake I made and be better moving forward. And I even talked with Redacted about it today, and she agreed with me. A lot of the people who got involved voluntarily got involved, and some actually fed into the situation, making it worse than it was. So I apologize to Aishi for being unfaithful. I apologize to Bags for not listening to him, and I want to move forward. These are screenshots provided by Zero. I couldn't even rant to my friends about my feelings anymore because I'll be hit with, I don't want to know, don't get me involved, or Surge said it's a thing between you both, I don't have a say or opinion, or I'm trying to stay neutral, or I don't want to hear it. It hurt a lot because I was healing and I wanted to vent to my friends. And I had major trust issues due to this because anytime I did vent, they would go to you telling you how I was venting my feelings and you were convinced I was trying to make everyone dislike you. It felt isolating and I couldn't trust anybody. What broke our friendship? The thing that broke the bridges between me and Surge was when he called me manipulator behind my back. The way his accusation came to be, there was a time while we were still friends and Ayako and him were dating. He won a trip to visit her in person. So on a day Surge was in person with Ayako and Aishi was in their personal friend server in call. Ayako joined the call in her account and said, look who's here, and Surge says hi in the background. I was uncomfortable, so my friends went back to conversation and gaming. Surge and Ayako talked amongst themselves, and after she pointed out he was with her, and then they left without a goodbye, which I thought was strange. I wanted to talk to Surge about how uncomfortable it made me, and it felt like she was rubbing it in that he was with her. So I waited for him to come back home to talk about it. We had our call and the conversations, seemingly talking about our frustrations afterwards. We feeling like we were on good terms and hearing each other out. He claimed he was going to talk to Ayako on his own accord. After explaining, he said I did seemed that way to him as well. So this is June 21st, 2023. Aishi says, hey Surge, can we talk later? Are you free? They call. Aishi says, I just wanted to continue to heal and was adamant on distancing myself from him as a friend so I could take care of myself. Not long after, I was in a call with my friend Arborn while we were talking about his frustrations with Surge. In the midst of talking, Arborn shares with me a screenshot of Surge calling me a manipulator. So here are the screenshots. Surge to Arborn on June 22nd says, speaking of Aishi, we had a talk tonight. It went, quote, well, end quote. But in reality, I got manipulated the fuck out of, and I realized now I can't tolerate her behavior anymore. Not Surge being like Uno reverse. Surge out here trying to gaslight and manipulate, and then Aishi the manipulator instead. Surge said, well, I realized my faults. I realized Aishi manipulated me. I realized Aishi manipulated me throughout our relationship as well. I am done, fully, just straight up done. Arborn says, smart, I'm getting tired of her being on it. It's not healthy for her and me. Surge says she's been harboring feelings about Aya and I. No shit, because you all cheated on her. Like, huh? Of course she's gonna be upset. So Surge says, scratch that Aya. She has been harboring feelings about Aya that she manipulated me into being against Aya, and I will never let her do that again. I am mad, like really fucking mad. Cheated on Aishi with Aya. So of course Aishi will be upset towards Aya. And Aishi is 100% valid to be upset here. So Arborn's statement. Arborn says, hey, it's Arborn again, making comment on the screening. This is what I mentioned when I stated I had been influenced and was under the belief that Aishi did something wrong in this situation. I was an a-hole and I feel guilty about it to this day, and I realized the error in my thinking. End of Arborn's statement. So back to Aishi. The harboring feelings he's referring to was little to non-existent. I tried to be happy. It was the fact you both kept disrespecting my boundaries while you knew I was still healing, because I would often communicate to you how I was feeling hurt, uncomfortable, and sad when you both would be in call with me, because it would give me reminders of the past when I was in a relationship with Surge. I tried to support you guys. Yeah, you said stuff like this behind my back and then tell me that you were waiting for my rage to cool down. I felt completely heated, hurt, disrespected, and felt like everything I felt for him was nothing the moment he claimed I was a manipulator. I felt completely shattered, and it hurt even more the fact that I've been through a lot of trauma from being manipulated in the past, as I stated at the beginning of this document. The fact he's putting my name in that category of abuse hurt so significantly bad. I felt disgusted, like I was gonna throw up. I instantly wanted to confront him. In the screenshot, meanwhile feeling heated and hurt, I basically was telling him if she said she had no intention of rubbing the fact that he was there with her in my face and I was wrong, to have just talked to me and tell me. Instead, he created this conclusion that I manipulated him. Context, Bags is Arborn. Aishi says, also June 22nd, bro, are you serious? Bags told me you think I was manipulating you into breaking up with Aya because of that talk last night, and telling you what happened. You joined the call in my homie Fluffle while she was drunk. I literally remember it clear as day. All I said was I was upset y'all joined while she was drunk and left without a word. Meanwhile, I was uncomfy. Like, bro, you can literally talk to Bags. He was there. I'm pissed he did say shit that he was there. You're saying this shit about me and saying as far as I was manipulating you in our past relationship. Are you kidding me? Say to my face that is what you think, dude. I did feel like it was rubbing things in my face, but I did say that was probably the intention. No, I didn't. If that was the intent, instead of fighting with your girlfriend that it seemed it was, and she said it wasn't, then you should have told me. me. I'm mad I can't say shit properly. Tell me, is that how you really feel? Surge says, give me a moment to gather my thoughts. The reason why I never said anything is because it doesn't change anything, really. There's no good way to handle the situation. There literally isn't. So I was just gonna let you sit and see if you get better over time. Let that rage calm down. We had our call, and I remember clear as day his reasoning for calling me a manipulator was, one, because he felt I was trying to put him and Ayako against each other after I was just communicating. I was uncomfortable with her joining call. Then pointing out he was there with her and just left without a word, making me feel like she was rubbing them being together in my face. It definitely sounds like they are rubbing it in their face. Two, whenever I would communicate when they were together that I wanted more alone, genuine time with him, he claimed I was purposely trying to manipulate him to feel guilty for me and stated we did spend a lot of time together already. To be honest, number two, I don't really understand because the wording is really awkward. So that one I don't understand. For more context, when I started asking for more genuine alone time with him when we were together, alone time with him as in like alone time with Surge, but why and when and in what context? I feel like that I'm a little lost on. It was farther around the time when he started becoming more busy with his growing reputation. After that, he often would spend time working on projects or we would be in a group of friends. I would try to be understanding of this because I know how much work goes into VTubing, but I simply was communicating with him. I just wanted genuine alone time with him as he was my boyfriend at the time. Just at some point to try to enjoy a day together that's not a sleep call being our main interaction with him distracted by work. To him, this was me trying to guilt trip him because we spent a lot of alone time together already, referring to the sleep calls and me sitting with him often in the server calls with our friends or while he was distracted working on covers or projects. Okay, so I think this is when they were together still, because to me, it sounded like point number two was talking about after they were together, when they broke up already. And I was like, why do you want one-on-one time with this guy that cheated on you? But I think number two is talking about when they actually were still dating, that Aishi wanted alone time and that Surge felt like Aishi wanting more one-on-one time was her being manipulative. So TLDR, if you guys want a TLDR, Surge used his sexuality as an excuse for being unfaithful, manipulated my friends to believe their feelings towards him, hurting me as invalid as well as their experiences with him. Surge twisted the story, claiming I didn't support his sexuality when I did and lied about being a manipulator. Often gaslit me and others to make everyone feel as if Aishi was in the wrong. As in Aishi, tried gaslighting and guilt tripping me in his apology, disrespected so many of my boundaries, called me a manipulator for simply communicating my boundaries and feelings, told people behind my back I was a manipulator, constantly lied and hid things from me before and after a relationship, being the person that Surge cheated on Aishi with, tried guilt tripping them. To Surge and Ayako, if you see this, I know either you, Ayako, or your manager, or maybe all the above will think I'm posting this as a vendetta or revenge to gain something. I have nothing I want and I have nothing to gain from this. I'm posting this so people know the truth about you and how you kept lying and manipulating. I'm tired of feeling silenced and scared to speak up. You call me a manipulator when you yourself are manipulating all the time to others to save face or hide the truth because you care so much for your rep. I want no apology. I want nothing for myself. All I want is for you both to own up and stop lying, not just about me, but about the other people you hurt, manipulated, and invalidated. So this was a really, really, really long thread, but this was posted by Aishi July 20th, 2024. So basically a little over a year after all this happens. And the reason because Surge was also looped into the whole BAFA drama. That's why Surge is even relevant, because of the BAFA drama. Because Surge went into DMs telling people to not release documents about BAFA. So a year later, still hasn't changed. Aishi says, I just want to add something because I will not tolerate any biases towards the victims. Please support all victims of Surge and BAFA. We all have our stories that are equally valid. Yua Luna says, thank goodness he finally said something. I'm so proud of you. Aruna Reaver says, I'm so proud of you, baby. You deserve the world. I will always be here for you. Sarifa VT says, I'm proud of you for coming forward, sending so much love. So many people are sending love and support to Aishi. I'm so sorry Aishi suffered about this for so long silently. So again, a lot of people saying sorries and apologies towards Aishi. This was released yesterday. So I know the stuff that happened was a year ago, but this document was literally released yesterday. Yeah, I'm trying to see if I can find Surge and Ayako's responses to this doc. Oh, where's Surge's VTuber account? His VTuber account is... I'm trying to find it. I think it's wiped off the internet. Ayako Azul, inactive, only one May, July 20th. So we have a doc from Ayako. Hello everyone, I'm here to open up, apologize, and share my thoughts properly about the current situations. First and foremost, to address my mistakes, I'm sorry to all the victims of BAFA that felt I enabled his behavior and tried to silence them. I should have stood up for the victims that I didn't know and shown support. Rather than trying to mend an evil person by giving advice, I should have shown him the door to walk out of my life. I was a coward. Now to the victims I do know. To RB, I deeply regret coming after you with such aggression and horrible behavior. I was blinded by rage and fury and was destructive on behalf of my partner, and I let that cloud my judgment. I took the route of loyalty over morality, and I see that now. You did the right thing on speaking up. I should have supported you did you. I failed you as a friend. To Aishi, I'm sorry for my actions towards you last year. I'm sorry you felt silence and endured that all this time. You deserve to speak your truth. To everybody else in my life that I have touched negatively, I never meant to cause anyone harm or torment. I will apologize privately to more than I have wronged in my lifetime, and I will continue to atone. If you saw that I left servers and deleted my own private server, that is true. I left every server that I do not personally own and are owned by friends. This was not meant to harm or offend anybody. I don't want those associated with me to feel like they're harboring somebody who committed wrongs. I want to shrink my personal bubble because in a darker place in my mind, everything needed to end, including my own life. Last night, I had an encounter with police officers investigating my attempt at my own life. I am in extensive care with people I trust. I am scheduled to get medical and mental health treatment this week. Regardless, I want to learn and grow from this, so my DMs are still open to whomever needs closure on further matters. I will be taking a hiatus while the treatment is in process, and hopefully I will come back a stronger, kinder, and wiser person. In the end, I have made mistakes of being manipulative and selective of my support, not standing up for victims and enabling to all the people who were wronged by me, my closest friends, people who trusted me. I'm sorry. It won't happen again. I'll do better, whatever it takes. Or that was Ayako's response. Yeah, the thing is, okay, look, I think out of all the apologies, this is one of the better apologies. These apologies aren't good. Like, it's not, no apology will be good or satisfactory, but I think it is better. It's less guilt trippy, maybe. I think limiting comments is no balls. Oh, was Arborn RB? Arborn says, I do not accept this apology either. For starters, you didn't mention Saphira VT. Second, you made half of your apology about yourself. Third of all, you missed the main issue. You inserted yourself into this entire issue. Whether that is you openly flirting and taking a man from a whole ass relationship at people for calling that said man's bullshit out. You enabled an enabler, got yourself involved, and then tried to crocodile tears. And you think this is an apology that is worth what you have done to people? No, you didn't even address the main issues and apologize directly to the victims that would get you by. If you want to apologize, maybe try actually apologizing and not try to emotionally manipulate everybody by making it more of a sob story about yourself when actual people that have struggled at the hands of you. Since you know, I guess the victims of you and Surge are only worth 1 or 2 sentences out of your time. Ayako would have never obviously apologized. Also, I'm just saying, like, okay, maybe I'm harsh, right? But the whole, like, I'm sorry they felt like they were in a place dark enough to try to make an attempt on their own life, but why is that in the apology? That's the same thing as that other artist who spent the entire doc being like, oh, my dogs stink. My 2 dogs that I love so much, when I don't come home to them anymore. That person had stolen a bunch of people's art and was tracing over it. Like, make it make sense? Oh, I found Surge. Okay, so here is Surge's apology. And their account, they also unfollowed everybody, and they also made their account inactive. For those of this concerns, thank you for taking the time to read. I would like to publicly apologize for my continuous behavior, which has affected very close friends. I ask you to please read the whole statement and respect your decision after reading. I was friends with many people who hurt others and did wrongful actions. I reflect on my decisions to enable these people. I am sorry for enabling the aggressors and for not supporting the victims immediately. My biggest issue is that I've been enabling those around me and I give people second chances too easily, which has repeatedly bitten me in the ass hard. This leads to me also manipulating others and causing harm. I sincerely and profusely apologize to Saphira VT, Arborn VT, Pumpkin, 12 VT, Aishi, TLDR Soma, and anybody else that I have hurt, backstabbed, or pushed away due to my various actions and mistakes. Please understand, these are the individuals that I know of that I have repeatedly hurt. If you are someone that I have hurt and you're not listed above, please come to me directly so I can apologize to you if you are comfortable. I do not expect forgiveness, nor do I expect retribution. This is purely for accountability, which was greatly overdue. I apologize for hurting those around me, manipulating others, and for enabling dangerous behavior. I understand this behavior is problematic and will be taking a hiatus to go to therapy, get the help I need, and be a better person so that these situations won't happen again. To those who still want to support me, I ask you to not go after the victims or anybody I have hurt. These actions were my fault and I take full responsibility. For those who are going after anybody associated with me, please understand it's not their fault either, as for all my actions were of my own. I have manipulated and used bodyguards to protect myself. They don't deserve my responsibility. Thank you again for taking your time to read this statement. Once again, I'll be taking a hiatus and leaving the VTuber community to get help so I never repeat the mistakes again. So at least they didn't hide their comments. Lucas says, I feel like an apology to your victims should be more sincere than this. It's a single page for so many people. Oh my god, there was also Dove too. Galan of Truth says, that is way too many people that deserve an apology, especially considering these aren't even the only ones. I truly hope you do some reflecting. And then we have Saphira VT, and I haven't even delved into the stuff with Saphira yet or some of the other people that were affected. One of the victims says, I do not accept your apology. You put enabling an abuser over standing by the victims, some being your own friends. You spare not even a second to call us names and attack us. I hope you truly get the help you need and learn to do better by others and yourself. So to unpack the Saphira situation really quickly, because I'm just just trying to gather up the pieces because there's so many. Safira tweeted on July 17th, I have had my own uncomfortable experiences with BAFA that I've only shared in private as of now. Please take the time to read this document, Matron's second document that we covered already, and give support to those who have been hurt by BAFA as they truly should have never had to go through this. And Safira tweeted this out July 20th, 2024. This last week or so has been stressful. I have been exhausted to say the least. I'm having to process so much at the same time. From coming forward about some of my experience with BAFA to them being attacked by Surge, who called me family for stating their involvement. Surge and Aya's apologies given to us save face. The damage was done. There was nothing that a sorry could fix. They hurt the victims by downplaying their abuse and enabling their abuser. They came at Arborn and I sideways because we told our truth and said in truth. We mentioned Surge's involvement as it played a key part instead of breezing over that detail. They were so focused on how Surge was mentioned and they didn't care to attack two people who are not only BAFA's victims, but people they claim were family. This isn't even beginning to touch on the manipulation Aishi had to endure. They put her through so much. Because if we remember, if we look at this, let's see, that was Aishi's doc about the manipulation from Surge. This whole ordeal has been stressful and mentally taxing for many of us. I have so much love and respect for those who came forward with courage to tell their stories. I stand with you. To Surge and Aya, both of your behaviors were disgusting time and time again. You both continue to enable one another. I can't believe I ever called you family. I hope you both learn and grow from this. Oh, and keep your I'm sorry and public apologies away from me. Your apology means nothing when you don't change your behaviors. It's clear that there's a pattern there. You both have a lot to learn. Have the day you both deserve. That is like everything I've managed to gather because I'm trying to keep this segment related to Surge because we've already covered BAFA. 2 documents were made about BAFA that we did cover and talk about, or it was like 2 or 3, I believe already. There's so much stuff. It's actually nuts. This is absolutely crazy. These guys are so weird and effed up. So it do be like that. I'm truly sorry for having to deal with all of this, having to put up with Surge and Ayako, all of the the gaslighting and the manipulation that happened to Aishi absolutely sucks. And the fact that he basically suffered in silence for so long, truly so sorry about that. And to all of the other victims of these guys, the other victims of BAFA, Surge, Ayako, and all of the other bad actors in the situation, it truly, truly, truly sucks. And I'm glad the truth is coming out. All of the wrongs can be righted and the narrative can be corrected. Now that all of this is out, these people don't have to be suffering in silence anymore. So I am very, very glad about that, at least. That is like the one good thing to come out of that. At least the truth is coming out now. But I'm truly sorry for the victims. And again, the least you could do, a lot of the victims are streamers. If you just want to lurk their streams, drop them some support, follow them on socials, etc. like that. It could be really helpful.